Some speaker wires have to run on the floor or underneath, but in this particular car we have a really nice channel where we can put them down in here and just run them down through. And of course we loop the white one for the horn up above, and we'll cut that to fit. And here's the horn in here, and we'll attach it to that. And then the blue one, of course, goes through here. Louis has it taped, but there's a little grommet. It'll be behind the kick panel, and it comes in, and we'll wire up that floor speaker. Show you the first amp and the board, and Louis is going to explain what they do and what they power up on each section.
Okay, this is what I would like to call the power supply board. We have two fuse holders here that power up all 3 amps. They're brought in with a 0 gauge wire, and then they come out with a 4 gauge wire to each amp. They got a little meter here so you can read the voltage on it. And then we got a little distribution block here for the grounds only. All the grounds from the system will be grounded here. Little fuse holder right here for all the components, the EQTs, the amp turn-on leads, crossover, the epicenter. Another thing we have here is a relay. This relay here is used for turning all the amps on. You can't run multiple amps off a radio because you'll end up burning the remote lead on it. So using a relay in this way will save your radio in the long run. And then here's a little junction where all the remote leads go to, and then they're hooked up with a relay.
Sounds good. Let's go over the EQs.
This is our EQTs. We have a left and a right EQT. One for the left side of the car, one for the right side of the car. They require ground, constant 12 volts, and a remote turn-on lead. And we ran the wires out this way on these boards, joining them together, coming down to our power board. And the only thing we lacked is hooking up the RCAs here for the left and right side, and then we'll be ready to be jamming.
Okay, we got the first amp, the small amp down here. We can see the wiring before it's covered up by the larger amps. What we got going here?
This is a 454 dyn-audio amp. This will be running all the mids and highs, the horn tweeters up front, and the mid-range speakers on the floor. We got our monster cable with the shielding all in it on both sides. We used Phoenix Gold on the mid-range speakers. All we need to do is put our RCAs in here and get our tunes going again. And if you see here, this is for our bass control. They use a little phone cable, and we'll have a knob up front so the customer can actually play with the bass on it, either require more bass or less bass. And these are all the cables running up front. We use the aluminum tape to tie everything down so it doesn't flop around as we're going down the road.
Sounds good. We'll take a look at the large amps now once we get them installed. Now I notice also that you put some special plugs, some pigtails that go to the other amps.
Yeah,
what are
they're like a GM waterproof plugs, and they got insulation on the inside and outside, less corrosion, easier to manage with. Like if we have to do some repair work or take the upper section of the amps off, we can just unplug the wires here and we're good to go.
You see, you got a male and a female end.
The only reason I did this was so anybody working on the system can't, mix them up. There's a female on one side, a male on the other, so there's only one way it goes in.
Sure, that makes sense. We'll take a look at the big amps. Now this amp is 450 watts, and it's divided into 4 channels, right?
Yes.
That's the small baby. That's the baby there.